When we leave small jobs undone, they quietly pile up in the background until everything feels overwhelming. Progress often comes not from working harder, but from doing small things consistently before they become big things. Today, I wanted to talk about targets, deadlines, and that feeling of being overwhelmed. I'm recording this from home in Edinburgh, and if I'm honest, overwhelmed is probably the best word to describe how I've been feeling recently. It's not that everything has gone dramatically wrong, nobody is chasing me, the sky isn't falling, but there are periods in life where you suddenly look around and realise that you've got a lot of moving parts. Work needs attention, the business needs attention, my health needs attention, content needs creation, emails need answering, admin needs doing. Life just keeps showing up every single day, whether you're ready for it or not. What's been on my mind most this week is trying to get ahead. Not because I want to become some productivity machine, not because I think being busy is impressive, quite the opposite. I want to get ahead because I don't like that feeling of constantly catching up. I think there's a big difference between being busy and feeling behind. You can have a packed schedule and still feel in control, but when you feel behind, every task carries a little bit of guilt with it. You know those jobs that take 10 minutes, the email you should have sent, the video you should have edited, the thing you said you'd do yesterday. They start piling up. Then suddenly you're carrying 20 10-minute jobs around in your head. The funny thing is that most of the time, the actual work isn't the problem. It's the mental weight of the unfinished work. I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I don't know if I'm right, but I think overwhelm often comes from accumulation more than difficulty. One difficult job isn't usually overwhelming. 20 easy jobs can be. I've noticed that when I stay on top of the little things, life feels lighter. When I let them stack up, everything feels heavier. A lot of this has probably been highlighted because I've been traveling recently. I had a holiday, I enjoyed myself. I switched off more than I normally do. But while I was away, there were still jobs that needed doing. Nothing urgent, nothing life-changing, just daily tasks, the little things. And because I was on holiday, some of those things got pushed to tomorrow. Then tomorrow became the next day, then the next day. Then before I knew it, I was heading home and I'd created a backlog. Again, nothing major, but enough that I can feel it's sitting there waiting for me. I remember getting home and looking at everything that needed doing, not because there was an impossible amount of work, because there wasn't. The problem was seeing all of it all at once. That's when I realised something. Most overwhelm isn't created in a single day. It's created a little bit at a time. One postponed task, one missed opportunity, one delayed decision, one small job left until tomorrow, then another and another, until suddenly tomorrow arrives carrying the weight of yesterday. And I think that's where targets and deadlines become interesting. We often talk about targets as if they're these stressful things that make life harder. Sometimes they do, but sometimes targets are actually there to stop us drifting. A target gives us direction, a deadline gives us urgency. The problem comes when we ignore them for too long. The deadline starts moving towards us faster than we're moving towards it. I've definitely experienced that recently. I found myself looking at projects and thinking, if I'd just done 20 minutes a day on this, it wouldn't feel like a mountain now. And maybe that's the lesson I've been slowly learning, little and often. It's not exciting, it's not sexy. Nobody makes documentaries about someone consistently doing small jobs every day. But that's usually where the magic happens. Fitness works that way. Business works that way, relationships work that way, money works that way, life works that way. One workout doesn't change your body, one healthy meal doesn't change your health, one productive day doesn't change your future, but hundreds of small actions absolutely do. One of the things I'm excited about right now is getting into shape for my next holiday, and even that has reminded me of this lesson. Nobody gets fit in a weekend. Nobody gets fit by having one perfect week. It's the small daily decisions, the walk, the workout, the meal choice, the consistency, the boring stuff, the stuff nobody sees. I've started to realize that consistency is actually a form of kindness towards your future self. Every small task completed today is one less thing for tomorrow to carry. Every little action is a gift to the version of you that wakes up next week. I don't always get that right. There are plenty of times where I think I'll have a more motivation tomorrow. I'll have more energy tomorrow. I'll have more time tomorrow. Then tomorrow arrives looking suspiciously similar to today. I've changed my mind about motivation over the years. I used to think motivation came first and action followed. Now I think action comes first. The motivation arrives afterwards. The hardest part is usually starting. Once you're moving, things often feel easier. And I suppose that's one of the biggest observations from this week. The jobs I avoid are almost never as difficult as I imagine they are. They're just uncomfortable because they haven't been started. Once I begin, most of the resistance disappears. It's strange how much stress can be created by things that would have taken 15 minutes to complete. I've also realized that trying to solve everything at once is usually a mistake. When I'm overwhelmed, I tend to look at the entire mountain, every problem, every task, every deadline, every target, everything, and that usually makes me feel worse. The moment I focus on just the next step, things become manageable again. Not easy, just manageable. And manageable is enough. I think that's what I'm still trying to figure out. How to balance ambition with patience. How to build meaningful things without constantly feeling like I'm behind. How to enjoy the journey without turning every goal into another source of pressure. I don't have perfect answers. I'm still figuring it out. But right now my approach is simple. Do the next job, then do the next one, and then repeat. Not because it's exciting, because it works. If you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe take a look at what's actually causing it. Is it generally too much work, or is it lots of small, unfinished job living rent-free in your head? Maybe the solution isn't a complete life overhaul. Maybe it's one email, one phone call, one workout, one task, one step, then another and another. Because most mountains aren't climbed in giant leaps. They're climbed one step at a time. If there's one thing I'd like listeners to remember from this episode, it's this. Do the jobs little and often. Because when we leave small jobs undone, they quietly grow into big problems in our minds. But when we handle them consistently, life feels lighter, less stressful, more manageable, and a lot less overwhelming.